Good day, everyone. We will begin our event shortly. Just a few reminders for our session this afternoon. This webinar is recorded. Only the speaker screen will be visible throughout this session. Ensure that your internet connectivity is stable and refrain from opening multiple browsers or downloading any programs to avoid disruptions during this learning session. Your microphones are disabled by the organizers. However, this should not affect your ability to listen to the presentation. Please remember to check the volume control of your device. Please note that there will be a Q&A after the presentation. You may send your questions through the Q&A window anytime during the presentation. Thank you.
Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Glad you could join us this afternoon. Welcome to the Starter Pack, Getting Started with BDO Securities. Allow me to first introduce myself. I'm Karina Lozada, and I'll be the first speaker for today's session. And later, I'll be joined by my colleagues, Steph De La Cruz and JP Palma. All three of us are part of the retail sales team of BDO Securities. Let's just do a quick run through on what you can expect from today's session. Part 1 will cover stock investing basics and the difference between trading and investing. In Part 2, Steph will talk about formulating investing strategies based on fundamental and technical analysis and how you can use this in deciding what stocks to buy. And for the last part, JP will discuss the importance of risk management and leave you with tips to remember. Let me start by introducing BDO Securities. BDO Securities is a brokerage firm that offers clients the ability to invest in the Philippine stock market. One way is through our online platform, which is suited for DIY investors. As long as you're online, you can trade stocks anytime, anywhere. Opening an account with BDO Securities is easy as everything is done online with no documents required. Here you can do real-time funding and withdrawal, plus stay updated with our market insights and trade ideas that can be accessed through our platform. For those who still want to do the traditional way of trading stocks, don't you worry because BDO Securities also offers traditional trading services where you can speak to your certified trader over the phone who will execute your trade real-time and provide you timely market insights based on latest corporate data or news. Before we move further, let me first ask you this question. Why do you invest? Answers to this question may vary depending on your personal goals and life stage. But one thing's for sure, most of us, if not all, want to make money and become wealthy. We all want to be rich, secure, and financially stable because we all have financial needs and responsibilities. We all have needs and wants, and that comes with a price. The reason why I want to invest is to have a simple life. And for me, a simple life means I won't have to worry about my financial needs and responsibilities because I have more than enough. Is that also the life that you want for yourself? If yes, investing is key to achieving that kind of life. Another reason why we should invest, and this is important, it's to beat inflation. Inflation is the increase in price of goods and services over time. Now, to stress the importance of investing, let me give you an example of the time value of money. Let's say you had 100,000 pesos back in 2011 and you decided to put it in a time deposit. Had you left it there until 2021, its worth would have been 124,000 pesos. You would think that that's great. You were able to grow your money, right? The thing with that is inflation also grew and even faster than your time deposit. That means you actually lost money by keeping it in a time deposit. Had you invested your money in bonds, its worth would have been 177,000 pesos, outpacing inflation. Had you invested it in stocks, it would have grown to over 164,000 pesos, also higher than inflation. Historically, stock returns outperform other investment vehicles, but then what happened in 2020 was unprecedented. The pandemic happened, which caused a major correction in the stock market. We still expect stocks to outpace bonds and definitely inflation and time deposit in the long run, which is why it's still important to learn about stock investing. Now that we know why we should invest specifically in stocks, let's now talk about what stocks are. Stocks or shares are actually pieces of a company. It represents ownership and a claim on the company's assets and earnings. Let's say a company would like to raise capital to expand or to invest in another venture or for its business needs. Instead of borrowing, the company can open a portion of itself to the public, which will be divided into stocks. And this will be made available in the stock market where you and I can buy them. So when you buy stocks of that company, you become a stockholder. In effect, you're like a co-owner of that company. As a stockholder, you have a share in the company's profit in the form of dividends. You also earn through price appreciation, which happens when you sell the stock at a price higher than how much you bought it. So what are the types of stocks that you can trade? We have the common stocks, preferred stocks, and REITs. Let's discuss each. Let's first discuss common and preferred stocks. Now, the main difference between the two is that common stocks gives voting rights to the shareholders while preferred stocks don't. Preferred shareholders have priority over a company's income and are paid regular, fixed dividends, while common shareholders are not guaranteed any. Preferred stocks can be converted to common stocks and are less liquid. REITs or real estate investment trusts are shares of a company that owns or operates income-generating real estate. REITs makes it possible for investors to earn dividends and capital appreciation from real estate investments without having to buy, manage, or finance any real property. By law, REITs must distribute at least 90% of their distributable income to shareholders. Thus, we can expect regular dividends similar to preferred shares. Now, if you're looking for income-generating securities, you can consider preferred shares and REITs. However, please note that the amount of dividends paid by REITs can go up or down depending on the income that the company generates. Preferred shares, on the other hand, have fixed dividends just like bonds. Now that we know what a stock is and the types of stocks that we can trade, how do we get started on actually investing? Now, this might not sound new to you, but this is actually crucial in creating an investing plan and strategy that would best fit you. You have to know yourself first. You have to identify your style, know what works for you and what doesn't. Are you an investor who can buy and hold a stock for a long time? Or are you a trader who can monitor the market on a regular basis to take advantage of price fluctuations in the short term? How experienced are you in investing? How much risk can you tolerate? Are you the conservative type or are you aggressive who can tolerate higher risk? How long do you intend to invest? The answers to these questions would help you decide on the best investing strategy that would best fit your profile and your goals. Now, there are two main categories an investor can fall into. You can either be a trader or an investor. Let's differentiate them so you can gauge which category fits you best based on your style and profile as an investor. Traders and investors both have a common goal, which is to grow their money through stocks. The approach and execution, however, is different. Investors generally buy and hold stocks over longer periods of time, and that can range from many months up to many years. Traders, on the other hand, often buy and sell stocks quickly, only holding them for short periods of time, at most a month, sometimes weeks, days, or even hours, thus the need for constant monitoring. Since investors generally hold stocks for a long period of time, it's important that they choose quality, stable, and fundamentally sound companies to invest in. Because of this, investors use fundamental analysis, which is the method of measuring a stock's intrinsic value by looking into the company's financial capacity and other factors that may impact the stock's value. On the other hand, traders, who take advantage of price volatility, use technical analysis more to help them identify trading opportunities. Now, technical analysis can take some time to learn and would better fit someone who has more advanced experience in the market. If you're just starting, investing is the ideal route for you. So before you begin, decide if you'll be a short-term trader, long-term investor, or both. Each has a different approach and execution, so it's important to decide first before you start. Knowing the right approach helps you formulate the right strategy that fits you. With the right strategy in place, you can minimize or mitigate your risk or losses and have a positive experience in your investing journey. So let's say you've already decided on the approach that would work best for you, but you still have questions like, what are the best stocks to buy? When will I know if it's time to sell? Where can I read market-related reports? And how do I keep up with the current market situation? Don't worry, because in BDO Securities, we've got you covered. By utilizing the reports provided by BDO Securities, you can find stocks to buy long-term and trade short-term. We have the Daily Digest, a report that we release on a daily basis that will keep you up to date with what's happening in the local and global market. We also include economic and corporate news, which can impact stock prices, including insights from our analysts. Next, we have the weekly wrap that we release on a weekly basis, which provides summary of the previous week, as well as what to look forward for the upcoming week. This report includes market analysis and stock recommendations from our analysts. Both reports are based on fundamental analysis. And next, we have the technically speaking commentary, where we provide regular trade ideas based on technical analysis. And finally, we have the trade recap, which shows the summary and performance of trade ideas for the month. Later, Steph will show you how you can utilize these tools in your trading or investing strategies. And now, to talk about investing strategies using fundamental and technical analysis, I now turn you over to Steph.
Now that you know what type of market player you are and the different resources available in BDO Securities, we will now move on to the different investing and trading strategies that you may consider depending on your preference. There are actually two ways to study the market. First is through fundamental analysis, and second is through technical analysis. For some people, especially for beginners, looking for a stock to buy could be tedious or challenging. But here in BDO Securities, we provide you with the resources where you can find trading and investing ideas. So let us begin with fundamental analysis. It is a way of analyzing a stock or a company's value by carefully studying the company's financials and other factors such as macroeconomics that may potentially impact that company's stock price. Using this method is actually suitable for those who would like to invest in the long term. In BDO Securities, we actually have fundamental analysis-based reports such as the Daily Digest, the Weekly Wrap, and the Stock of the Week. Also, from time to time, especially during earnings season, we release company-specific reports where you can see how our analysts view the earnings performance of each companies that they cover. So, here are some fundamental analysis-based strategies that long-term investors may consider. Let's start off with what value investing is all about. It is a type of strategy where one person looks for an undervalued stock with the expectations that the market will reflect that company's true value or intrinsic value in the long run. So bakit nga ba may mga undervalued na stocks? First, the demand for that stock could be very poor due to a negative news or a negative rumor circulating in the market. Or second, pwede rin namang weak lang talaga yung overall market. So an example of this was back in March 2020. If you would remember when the pandemic was just starting and the Philippine government imposed a hard lockdown, almost all stock prices of the companies listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange declined sharply. There were even companies whose stock prices declined to depressed levels without us knowing at that time na kaya pala nila i-withstand yung harsh effects of the pandemic. So how do you find value stocks or value companies? So here are some of the indicators that are commonly used. First is the price to earnings ratio, and second is the price to book ratio. So both of these can be derived from the company's financial statements. But to make it easier for you, BDO Securities research analysts have these data ready in our reports so that you won't have to compute it yourself. Both price to earnings and price to book ratio can be seen in BDO Securities weekly wrap report. So weekly wrap is actually my favorite fundamental analysis based reports because in just one glance, I'm able to see the fundamental based indicators that I need to see to help me with my investment decision making. Now that you know where to see these value indicators, what do you do with these numbers now? So for example, I want to buy a stock of a restaurant operating company in the Philippines. So I can simply take the price to earnings or price to book ratio of these companies that I know of, get their average, and compare them side by side. Usually, the lower the number, the better, because that means that the stock is trading at a cheap valuations. Although note as well that not all stocks expensive in valuation means that they couldn't be undervalued. There's also one more important thing to note, that not all cheap stocks in value are worth investing in because there are times that there are companies that are trading in cheap valuations because they deserve to trade in such way. To confirm if that value stock or undervalued stock is worth investing in, you can go back to the weekly wrap report and see if our research analysts have buy rating on that specific stock. You also have to make sure that specific stock that you like has at least 15% upside potential. While value investing involves seeking for a stock that is discounted in value, growth investing involves looking for a stock that is experiencing growth in business expansion or earnings growth. Growth stocks typically experience fast rise in prices as demand for that stock becomes high as the company's business could be gaining traction or popularity in the market. So these companies tend to reinvest their earnings for expansion to fund their aggressive operational plans. To help you spot growth companies, here are some of the indicators that you should look at. Although hindi naman limited sa dalawa na to yung mga indicators na pwede niyong tingnan. Marami pang iba dyan, but these are the common ones. There are also indicators na hindi naman derived from the financial statements of the companies. Like for example, going back to the restaurant industry once again, pwede natin gamitin yung store count as a basis. But for today, we will be focusing on these two as these indicators are readily available in BDO Securities research reports. For the earnings per share growth, we can actually refer to the weekly wrap report once again. Meanwhile, revenue growth may be found in our company-specific reports. So how do you find growth investing ideas using these reports? So similar with value investing, growth indicators may be interpreted by using the industry comparison method. So kung sa value investing, the lower the number, the better. Sa growth investing naman, the higher the figure, the better. Note, however, that growth stocks tend to have higher valuations compared to value stocks. The first two fundamental-based strategies that we have discussed may give you gains or earnings through capital appreciation. But there's one more strategy that you may consider adopting that may supplement or aid to your capital gains. So it is dividend investing. This method aims to seek for high dividend-paying stocks. Here are some things that you need to know about dividends. It is the excess earnings of companies that are being paid out to its investors. Although there is no guarantee or assurance na magpe-pay out talaga lahat ng companies listed in the PSE ng dividends, there are some who are known to regularly pay out and meron talaga silang great track record of paying out dividends. Regular dividend payouts may be sought after preferred shares, or REITs na required by law to pay out 90% of their earnings as dividend to their investors. But how do you know if a stock is worth investing in if you're adopting a dividend investing strategy? So just look at their dividend yield. So the higher the figure, the better. So how do you identify if the figure that you have chosen is actually reasonable? So you may pick a number that's higher than the average dividend yield in the Philippine stock market. It could be higher than the average bond yields, or it could simply be higher than the inflation number. Going back to the weekly wrap report of BDO Securities, you can simply go to the stock coverage page and refer to the dividend yield column and look for a stock that suits your preference. So that covers all three fundamental analysis-based strategies that long-term investors may consider or may choose from. Now, for those who would like more of a challenge or for those who would like to trade the market more actively, we will now move on to technical analysis. Technical analysis is a study of a stock price's activity, trend, and sentiment, which aids traders to evaluate their positions and, of course, spot trading opportunities. As we all know, mastering something can't be done overnight, and it could take some time for skills to develop. But if you are a BDO Securities client, you will have access to technical analysis-based reports as we do the analysis for you. Here are the technical analysis-based reports that we have in BDO Securities, the Technically Speaking and the Trade Recap. Technically Speaking features stock-specific trade ideas that we think may give our clients potential returns if executed. So we publish this every time we see an opportunity. Meanwhile, to help you track the trade ideas that were featured for the month, we publish a monthly performance report to see how our trade ideas have fared. So let me expound on these reports so you'll have an idea how to utilize them. So let's start off with technically speaking. There are actually two types of technically speaking reports. There is one released every Monday, which includes the review and outlook of the PSEI and also our top 2 trade ideas for the week. Meanwhile, we also publish on any of the weekday. So here's what you'll see in technically speaking. So on the upper left, you will see the technical indicators, which are categorized whether the indicator is signaling bullish signs or bearish signs. Next is a write-up that we call in short. So it is the summary of the market's activity with a short update of our PSEI view and a brief introduction of the stock that will be featured for the day. And the most exciting part of this report is the details of the trade idea. So there is a write-up there which explains the pattern that we see, the criteria you need to see before buying or executing the trade, and some advice on how you can execute or approach the trade idea. There is also a chart where the target price, buy price, and stop levels are plotted to help you visualize the trade idea. The target price is the level where we expect the stock to rally at. Meanwhile, the buy price is our ideal entry price. Note, however, that not all buy price is the same as the current price. We have trade ideas whose buy prices are higher than the current price and requires a little bit of waiting time. So to minimize the risk of having big losses, we have set stop levels. Make sure to strictly follow this, as any breach of this price level would mean that our trade idea would be rendered void or invalid. And finally, in just one glance, you can see the potential upside or downside of the trade idea if you follow and execute it. As mentioned earlier, we track the trade ideas that we feature every month, and that is through the trade recap. So you will be able to receive this through your email, or you can simply access it through our research portal if you are a BDO Securities client. So this report includes a write-up summary of how our trade ideas have performed, our top performing stock for the month, and of course, our win rate. Since we started monitoring our trade ideas back in July 2021, we are very proud to achieve an average win rate of 75%. And as far as returns are concerned, we managed to get an average monthly performance of 9%, outperforming the PSEI's average of just 0.7%. So apart from the summary, there's also a table included which tallies the gain or loss of each trade idea. We also provide an update for each stock, indicating whether it can still be bought or just hold, or if it's already time to take your profit. So that wraps up the different investing and trading strategies and how you can utilize the resources available in BDO Securities. So now I'll pass on the floor to JP Palma, who will discuss risk management and give you some tips on investing. So JP, take it away.
Hi, I'm JP. After the discussion of my teammates Karina and Steph earlier about the importance of investing in the stock market and the different strategies that you may use in your decision making, let me now talk about one of the most important elements, which is risk management. So let's start. So what is risk management? I'll go straight to the point and tell you that it simply means avoiding or minimizing losses in your stock portfolio or stock investments as much as possible. And alam naman natin lahat na risky yung stock market, di ba? And no one can predict what will happen to your portfolio on a daily basis. But we can actually lessen the risk involved, and we at BDO Securities will show you how. Tulad ng nabanggit ni Steph earlier, it is important to have a strategy before you start investing. And risk management should definitely be part of that. Actually, they go hand in hand. Since ang goal naman natin is to grow our hard-earned money. And given na din na maka-experience tayo ng losses all throughout our investing journey, but if we can minimize the losses and maximize the gain, much better, di ba? And with that said, I will discuss two ways on how to manage your risk. The first one is diversification. And as the definition says, this is investing in different sectors or asset classes, which basically spreads out your risk. Huwag tayo dapat mag-focus lang on one sector for your investment. And the reason for this is, for example, may bad news on the industry that your chosen stock is part of. Malaki ang possibility na maapektuhan ng price na negatively, and this might even cause you to lose your gains or much worse, even give you a negative portfolio. Instead, make sure to divide your investable funds in different sectors. I suggest mga 4 to 5 different kinds of industries or businesses, such as retail stocks, banks, properties, consumer stocks, etc. This way, kung may bad news on one industry that you are invested in, the other companies on your portfolio will possibly be less affected. Let me give you a sample scenario. Let's say they're siblings, namely Bernie and Bianca, and they both have 60,000 pesos as investable funds. Nag-start sila mag-invest on the stock market on January 2020, so before the pandemic. Bernie invested his full 60,000 pesos in a stock involved in the mining industry, while si Bianca divided her 60,000 pesos into 3 different business sectors, namely a stock with grocery as main business, a food business focused stock, and property stock. All sectors suffered sell downs around March when the lockdowns were implemented here in the Philippines, causing both their portfolios to be negative. But as you can see, the stock market started to gradually recover starting June. And because Bernie only invested in one industry, naging slower yung recovery ng portfolio niya compared to Bianca's diversified one, since 3 different sectors yung nag-recover at the same time. This gives Bianca a better end-of-year recovery because she decided to spread out the risk by diversifying her holdings. The next one is implementing a certain level of risk-to-reward ratio. This simply means that you must set and follow a rule for both your gains and losses every time you invest. Dito papasok yung disiplina sa pag-control ng greed, pag-take ng profits, and also learning to cut your losses. And we normally suggest to implement a 3:1 risk-to-reward ratio. This means you should consider securing your gains kapag nag-increase na yung acquisition price mo to a certain percentage, and also cutting your losses naman if your acquisition price goes down a certain percentage then. I'll show you 2 examples on how to implement this on your stock investments. For our first example of the 3:1 risk-to-reward ratio, let us set your take profit goal to 15% and your stop loss limit to 5%. As you can see, if you implemented the strategy, yung possible gain mo is up to 3 times above your stop loss limit, which gives you a significant upside and very minimal downside. So kung bumili ka ng stock, for example, at 20 pesos per share, you just need to multiply that to 15% to come up with your target price and multiply to 5% naman to compute for your stop loss price. This simply means kapag tumaas ang stock price to 23 pesos, we suggest that you consider cashing in on your gains, and kapag unfortunately bumaba naman to 19 pesos, sell your holdings to cut your losses and just look for another more promising stock. Another example is to use 30% to 10% risk-to-reward ratio. And if we still use the same 20 pesos per share as an example, the strategy will give you a take profit price of 26 pesos, equivalent to 30% gain, and 18 pesos for your stop loss price, equivalent to only 10% loss. Please take note that the percentage ratio will be up to you, dependent on your risk profile and on which price level you are comfortable with. So if you do implement this, just make sure to strictly follow the strategy to maximize your potential benefits. With BDO Securities, you can actually use the reports that we provide to help you decide on which stock to implement this strategy. Let me show you how. As one of the reports discussed earlier, we can use the BDO Securities weekly wrap to implement this strategy. Just find the upside or downside column, which is indicated on a per stock basis. Pili lang kayo ng stock with indicated high percentage upside potential, and then implement the 3:1 risk-to-reward ratio as discussed earlier. Simple lang, di ba? We try to provide all the resources needed to help you achieve the best possible outcome for your investments. Let us now put the 3:1 risk-to-reward ratio in a real-world example to help you better visualize the advantage of using this strategy. Let's say you implemented 10 trades, and the batting average column corresponds to your winning and losing trades. Out of the 10 trades, only 3 turned out to be positive, and the remaining 7 were negative. But since you implemented the 3:1 risk-to-reward ratio sa 3 winning trades, kumita ka ng total of 3,600 pesos since nag-take profit ka at 15% on each one. While sa 7 losing trades naman, limit mo lang lahat to 5% stop loss, which is equivalent to 2,800 pesos. So if we compute that, it will still give you a net profit of 800 pesos or 1% net return. And as you get better at trading and mas mataas na yung winning probability mo, just like in this scenario with 6 winning trades and 4 losing trades, you can see that the net gain will be much higher. Since 6 trades na yung nag-take profit ka at 15% and only 4 trades yung nag-stop loss ka at 5%. This will give you a net profit amount of 5,600 pesos, equivalent to 7% net return. Now that we have discussed the importance of investing in the stock market, the strategies that you can use in decision making, and risk management, let me now show you a glimpse of the BDO Securities website and the different functions you can access once you have an account. This is the BDO Securities main page, which you can access by going to www.bdo.com.ph/securities. We have a lot of articles, videos, and other useful information on the left side menu, so I suggest that you check it out. You may also inquire with any BDO branch near you if you're interested to open an account. Once you have a trading account, after logging in, you will see the main menu. Let me discuss the functionalities of some of the buttons on this page. First is the education button on the upper left, which provides articles and basic materials that can help you on your stock market investing journey. Next, one of the most important and something that we are proud of, the research function. This is where you can access all the market reports discussed earlier, which we upload on a daily and weekly basis. All the reports that you can read here can definitely have a big impact on your trading decisions, so I personally suggest that you don't miss this out. And lastly, in the middle is the trade button, which takes you to the trading platform on where you can execute your stock buying and selling transactions. Before we end our session, some investing tips and summary of the important points we discussed today. Number one, understand the difference between trading and investing, as each person will have a specific preference dependent on the risk profile. Number two, plan carefully and do a thorough research about stock market investing and also the company you plan to invest in. Utilize all the reports that we provide to help aid you on your decision making. Number three, take into consideration the strategies that we discussed today and find the one that works for you. Be it a fundamental, technical, or a mix of both disciplines, each one will help you greatly on your investing journey. Number four, understand that stock market investing is high risk and is very volatile. Learn to implement the different risk management strategies we discussed to secure your gains and limit your losses. Number five is to have realistic expectations. We all know that there is no easy money in stock market investing, and that you should always be conservative and make decisions based on realistic possible outcome. Learn to manage your greed and accept that there is a learning curve with any investment product. So, are you ready to start your investing journey with BDO Securities? I suggest you visit our website at www.bdo.com.ph/securities to know more about us. And if you have any inquiries, you may reach out to us through our hotline 8702-7878 or send us a message at our official email address bdosec-customercare@bdo.com.ph. We hope that you learned a lot with our discussion today. Thank you very much for attending our session. And on behalf of my teammates, Karina Lozada, Stephanie De La Cruz, and the whole BDO Securities team, I'm JP Palma, and we look forward to guiding you in your investing success. Stay safe, everyone.